tell y'all a story this morning. Y'all want to hear a story before I begin?
Yeah.
It's a good story. So when I was in seminary, my preaching professor, the great Dr. Jennifer Brooks, had us do an exercise once. And she gave us a text, and she said, I want y'all to get up there and preach without notes for this text. So us being seminary students, advanced preaching, we freaked out, we fell on the floor, we had a whole conniption. And she sat there, she was from Jamaica, baby, you got to do it, because sometimes things happen and you just got to know how to give the word from God. And so we did it. We never understood why that exercise was. So this morning, Dr. Brooks was right. So your pastor was not disconnected from service. I'm searching all of my electrical devices and realized that I did not sync before I left work. So the sermon I wrote is sitting over at Trinity Hospital. Now this was a good sermon, y'all, because I knew the boss was going to be here. It was all theologically constructed. It had proper words and didn't have none of my euphemism in it. It was, this first time we hearing me preach, so it was real AME-ish. She was like a little spirit of God. And y'all was going to be like, what is wrong with Pastor today? I wasn't even on Facebook Live, but then, so today, we're going to do this another way. We're going to freestyle the sermon the way Dr. Brooks taught. Y'all trust me?
Yes.
Yeah. I done read the scripture, I done meditated on the word. It's just, I guess God said you ain't going to front in front of the boss. So, let's go down first. Most gracious and eternal God, we come before you right now, thanking you for this service, thanking you for the joy that's in this house this morning.
Yes,
Thank you, Jesus, for Unity Temple, for the smiles, the warmth, the love. Now, God, we ask that this word be transformative into the people as we celebrate this, our second Sunday in Black History Month. We ask that it just be edifying to us. It asks that it changes us and pushes us and moves us.
Amen.
Be with us, God.
Yes, yes, Lord.
Be with us. And if this word is on you, shut it down. We thank you and love you. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. 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 So, our passage of scripture this morning, it is a long text. It is a long text. And so, I'm not going to read 26 verses for you. In fact, I'll read a couple of verses and you should pick up the story if you know your Bible. Amen? Amen. Amen. Daniel 3, Daniel the 3rd chapter. It actually encompasses all of Daniel 3. King Nebuchadnezzar made a golden statue whose height was 60 cubits and whose width was 6 cubits. He set it up on the plains of Dun in the province of Babylon. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent for the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the province to assemble and come to the dedication of the statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the province assembled for the dedication of the statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. When they were standing there before the statue Nebuchadnezzar had set up, the herald proclaimed, "You are commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that when you hear the sound of the harp, the horn, the lyre, the drum, and the entire musical ensemble, you are to fall down and worship the golden statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be thrown into the furnace of blazing fire." Therefore, as soon as all the people heard the sound of the horn, the pipe, the lyre, the trigon, the harp, drum, all the musical ensembles, all the people, the nations, and languages fell down and worshiped the golden statue that the king Nebuchadnezzar had what? Set up. Now, there was 3 boys that didn't do this. We know their names. And so we get to the meat of this text. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to present a defense to you in this matter. If our God, who we serve, is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire and out of your hands, O king, let him deliver us. But if he does not, we will not serve your gods, and we will not worship the golden statue that you have set up." And then the meat of the matter. We jump to verse 24. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose up quickly. He said to his counselors, was it not 3 men that was thrown bound into the fire? They answered the king, true, O king. He replied, but I see 4 men bound walking in the middle of the fire, and they are not hurt, and the 4th one has the appearance of a god. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the door of the furnace of the blazing fire and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out from the fire. Journey with me this morning, brothers and sisters, as we give reflections and thought to the text. Someday, we'll all be free.
Amen.
Someday, we'll all be free. Our sermonic hymn this morning, if you know your music, you know where this is going. Who know where this is going? Show of hands. Don't make me take your black card. Who know where this is going? I'm taking. Thank you, Aveda.
What?
Our sermonic hymn this morning. Hang on to the world as it spins around. Just don't let that spin get you down. Things are moving fast. Hold on tight and you will last. Keep your self-respect. Keep your humanly pride. Get yourself in gear. Keep your stride. Never mind your fears. Brighter days will soon be here. Take it from me. Someday we'll all be free. Amen. Keep on walking tall. Keep your head held up high. Let your dreams right up to the sky. Sing your greatest song and you'll keep going on. Take it from me. Someday we'll all be free.
Amen.
The great psalmist Donny Hathaway.
Amen.
And Donny Hathaway wrote this song in the midst of a mental depression. He was trying to figure out what it was to be a black man in America. He was trying to figure out how to navigate the spaces that he intersected, how to be popular, how to be a father, how to be famous, how to be black. And it all sometimes weighed heavy on him when you factor in that Brother Hathaway suffered from a mental illness. And so one night he sits down and he pens this hymn that says, listen, all of this is going around. You just got to keep your head above you. Sometimes things are going to happen. The world is going to spin. Sometimes it's going to try to get you down. But just take it from me that someday we'll all be free. And so then when we jump back to intersect that with Daniel 3, we see 3 boys who were in the midst of a very oppressive situation, much like us. They were taken from their homeland. We know the story that ends in Nehemiah and Jeremiah. We know about the Babylonian conquest when Nebuchadnezzar came the first time and took the best and brightest of the Hebrew people. And of that was Daniel, Ezra, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. He took all of them and he made them work for his government. He made them what French Fanon would call native elites. He made them work against their own people and work for his entity. And he said, listen, I'll give you the best. And so the first time they had this challenge of moral ethics was about the food. We know that we do it every Lent. We do the Daniel fast in which the boys said, we won't eat your swine and your Israelite ribs, and we won't eat all of that. Just give us water and fruits and vegetables. Right, Brother Robinson? They wanted to eat healthy, and so that was the first challenge to Nebuchadnezzar. And they wanted that. So Nebuchadnezzar kind of said, okay, y'all are cool. I give y'all some positional powers. But like most things evil, it just doesn't stop with one thing. And so Nebuchadnezzar kept going, and he kept going, and he kept going. So then verse 3 sets us up with Nebuchadnezzar. He says, right idea that he wants to create this statue, right? Nebuchadnezzar creates this statue, and the verse kept saying that he set up somewhere his mind, his egos, much like a president we know, much like leaders we see. They set these golden statues up that they set up and said everybody, when I walk into a room, will bow before the statue. So then it calls all the forms of the government, the satraps, the priests, etc., all those big Hebrew words, and says, when the musical band plays, when the national anthem plays, you must bow to it. Not just show respect. No, we kind of could live with respect. Not stand up and don't be on your phone. We could have kind of lived with that. He said bow and worship. Worship this thing that I have set up, this symbol of oppression. This symbol of evil, this symbol that every time the people who were not Babylonian had to look out of their windows, they saw this reminder that they were in an oppressed context. He said, not only do you have to look at that day in and day out, whenever you hear the music, don't you take a knee. You got to bow. Y'all missed that. Don't take a knee. You got to bow. And so then the people acquiesce. And so imagine, if you will, they were at a sports game, and the announcer comes on, we will now pay tribute to the United States military and officers, and the national anthem goes off, and everybody stands and acts like says it's not a problem with this hyper-patriarchal system, and they show crosses in the American flag and all of these symbols, and you know in your spirit something ain't right. Wait, Jesus wasn't an American. Jesus wasn't down for this, but everybody's standing and they looking around to see who ain't standing and you sitting there. Or let's go another way, you're an athlete and you know that this system is wrong and they're murdering your brothers and sisters. You know, they don't care about black girls and they don't care about trans women, and there's something that's wrong with the system, and so when everybody stands up, you're like, this ain't right. And so this is the space that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego found themselves, much like we find ourselves today. And they said, whoa, Nebuchadnezzar, we appreciate the good government jobs. We appreciate the ability to live on the east side, the deluxe apartment in the sky. We finally got a piece of the pie. We appreciate that, but I'm not sure that I'm willing to go that far. Because it's bad enough I got to look at this symbol of oppression day in and day out. Now you want me to worship it. It's bad enough I got to live in this oppressive system day in and day out. Now you want me to worship it. Now you want me to put some kind of theology to it. Now you want me to say that God wants Donald Trump to be president, right? Now we want our God to be tied into this. And I don't know if my God is the same God as your God. So I have some questions, and I know my Christian heritage, my Hebrew heritage said you don't make graven images, you don't worship like that, you don't do any of that. So we got to pause for a second. And like most systems of evil, and I need us to think of Nebuchadnezzar not just as a person, but as a system of evil: sexism, patriarchy, homophobia, racism. I need us to visualize that these systems of evil that make us not only look out our window and see it, then expect us to worship it. I need us to focus in the context of the American dream that locks so many out and says, you see it every day. When you cross Roosevelt, you see a whole different Chicago. But now I need you to worship it. Imagine, if you will, if every time you walk past the Sears Tower or Wills Tower or whatever they call it this month, you were expected to worship it.
All right.
It's bad enough it stands as an edifice of capitalism over our lives. Now we got to worship it. Imagine, if you will, Brother Devin, that if every time we had to walk past the 5th District Police Station, which is there to remind us that you are in check, and if you get out of line, we got something for you. We had to drop and bow. And so this is what the 3 Hebrew boys is. And so the first point of you not discerning is sometimes evil expects you to worship it. Sometimes evil ain't just enough in being, they expect you to worship it. Sometimes evil will set you up in positions of power and authority with the fringe benefits of class, of education, and even being a pastor.
Amen.
And say, now that I gave you that, I expect you to worship it. But the 3 boys had an interesting response. They said, wait. I'm confused, Nebuchadnezzar. I'm not going to do that thing. I'm just not going to worship that. Because even in the fact that I'm in an oppressed system, I'm still a free person. And so even in the sense of an oppressive system, I'm still a free person. So I'm not going to necessarily buy into your vision. I appreciate the government job. I appreciate being part of the royal court. I appreciate that I get to dress a little better and drive a nicer chariot than most, but at the end of the day, I'm still Hebrew, and that thing that you're doing right there is just offensive to my spirit, and it's offensive to my God, because I know the laws in the text, so I've not forgotten.
All right.
So no, we're not going to do that.
All right.
And that's when oppressive systems really show you what they're made of. That's when they turn on you, brothers and sisters. That's when they get angry and say, oh, so you're not going to play ball, Native Elite? You're not going to do what we asked you? We set you up. We gave you this nice car. We gave you these boats, these snowmobiles, and skis, and we did all of this for you. And you're going to say no? So now I got to take your life. Or I got to take your livelihood. Or I got to take that which matters most to you, your dignity. Because it wasn't enough to just simply quietly march into the furnace. He had to make a spectacle of it, right? He had to make a spectacle. He had to make an example. He could have very easily said, security, get these boys out of here. I don't ever want to see them again. Take them to the deepest, darkest dungeon and fix that problem. But no. He had to put them on a public display, a public lynching, a public trial. He had to call them up and come on up here, let me talk to you. And he had to do all of this to remind you of the scenery that we often see. And some of you even lived through. It wasn't enough that they lynched and to make picnics and parties out of it. And so that's where Nebuchadnezzar was going. I'm going to have to make an example of you three boys, because how dare y'all not only look me in the eye, how dare y'all not appreciate what I gave you, how dare y'all not worship what I told you to worship. You dare tell me no. Now this is where it gets good for us. This is the example where it gets good for us, because the boy said, ain't nothing you gave me worth my spirit and my soul.
Right.
Ain't nothing you gave me worth my integrity.
Yeah.
Because someday I'm going to be free, and it may not even be in this life, but I will be free. And so
Yes.
your offer don't trump my reality.
Amen.
And so I'm going to be free one way or the other. Because sometimes saying no to oppressive system, regardless of the consequences, is freedom.
Right.
My sister and I have a phrase that I cannot utter from this pulpit, but it's, we don't do certain things and live. We don't eat certain things and live. Because to eat that thing is to die. To eat that thing is unhealthy. So we don't put up with things, because the minute I put up with it, the moment I accept it, you've broken me, you've poisoned me, and I have nothing left to give. And so I'm not even operating in faith, because my faith said no weapon formed against me will prosper.
Amen. Amen.
My faith said nothing you do will harm me.
Amen.
Most importantly, my faith said we are resurrection people.
Yes.
And how can a resurrection people be afraid of death?
All right.
And so they tell Nebuchadnezzar, no, we're not going home. No, we're not going to do that. No, baby, we're not going to be able to do it. And what was interesting and what I bore out as I reflected on this text was their response was, not only are we not going to be able to do it, even if God don't move, we're not going to do it. Because we ain't being obedient in an exchange with God. We just doing it because that's just the right thing to do. So oftentimes when we fight systems up, hey, look, the fight is your reward. Standing up is your reward. Being engaged is your reward. The three boys understood that, listen, even if God don't move, God got that part covered, but it's just the right thing to do.
Yes.
It's just the right thing to do to tell you no.
Amen.
And so for us, sometimes we just got to stand up and not worry about the cost. Sometimes we got to stand up and say, listen, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to vote for another mayor candidate that's going to pilgrims my city. It's just that simple. I don't care how it looks. I don't care who likes it. I'm just not going to do it. Sometimes we got to stand up and say things on our block. Listen, you're just not going to do that.
Right.
And we don't need a lot of theology. We don't need a lot of hermeneutics. We don't need any of that. It's just not going to do it. You're not just going to do it. As my late sister say, you're never going to do that. So we're not going to do that. And so that's what the Hebrew voice was telling to Nebuchadnezzar. Now, the funny thing is they were engaged, not even expecting God to move. They just moved because it was the right thing to do. But what happens when you do the right thing? God does move. And so that is the good news for us. God did show up. God did show up in that furnace. God did deliver them from the very thing designed to kill them. So, again, what's the formula? If God did it for the three Hebrew boys, won't God do it for us?
Hallelujah. Yes.
If God showed up in the furnace for those boys,
Yes, you will.
God won't show up for us?
Yes, you will.
Come on, we talk about it. We're going to connect the dots. We love to say that God is the same God yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So suddenly, he's not delivering folks from fires no more.
Hallelujah.
Suddenly, fires is not part of God's ability to defeat. God can't walk in fires. God can't walk through systems of oppression and liberate us. God can't do that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Was there a time limit? Was it like a cell phone battery? God's battery is low. He used to recharge for 5 centuries. I don't know. I don't know if that's what we're saying. That's not what we're saying, are we? But we saying the same God that surprised Nebuchadnezzar can surprise the systems of oppression we face today.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
But I contend it's because we don't want to face the furnace. I contend it's somewhere in the back of the resources of our mind we wonder. I contend that we don't want to fight oppression unless we get something out of it. Not because it's the right thing to do, and it's something we should do.
Yes.
We don't want to mentor unless we like the children. We don't want to do for the church unless we have a familiar relationship and I feel good about it. We don't want to take care of our block unless I like the people around me. And that's kind of what the lesson is teaching against. you do it because it just needs to be done. Remember last week I told you about the fish and the loaves there. Everybody was trying to figure out how to feed the people, and everybody was talking about, the disciples, Jesus, we need you to come forward. We need you to, these people need to go so they can go eat. And Jesus said, no, you feed them. And they said, all we got is fish and loaves. And Jesus said, I didn't ask you that. I said, you feed them. And so when they gathered what they were supposed to gather, God met them at the foot. And then you got the miracle of the 5,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boys, brother, did 3 simple things. They stood up.
Amen.
They didn't bow down. They stood on their conviction, and they did the right thing simply because it needed to be done, and who met them. And so it is for us, brothers and sisters. We're living in a world that requires us to say no to Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes.
We're living in a world that requires us to say no to evil. It's bad enough we got to look at it. Don't ask me to worship it. We're living in a world where poverty runs rampant. Don't ask me to worship capitalism when I got to look at homeless people under my bridges. Don't ask me to praise and like R. Kelly's music when I'm looking at the oppression of the girls. Don't ask me to do this. Don't ask me to look at it and worship it. Simply because it needs to be done. This story and the song reminds us that, look, it's hard. I'm not going to sit up here and act like any of this is easy. It's not easy. I can imagine the boy's heartbeat with every step towards that furnace. I can imagine their heartbeat as soon as Nebuchadnezzar looked out and saw them standing there. I've been there. My brother and I have been in the stadium as the dudes who didn't stand during the national anthem. And all of my line, Devin, and all eyes look at you. And your heart races. But I just can't stand for wars of imperialism. It's bad enough you ain't making my game start late. Now I got to worship it. It's bad enough you're killing babies and oppressing small brown nations. Now you want me to stand and bow before it. But I can tell you that adrenaline gets to pumping. I can tell you that when the crowds like those in the city and they get closer and they get closer and they start leaning. And I can imagine that's what the boys went through. I can imagine as I look out at her as my sister walks the street fighting sex trafficking, and she gets the strange look from the men who, like, why are you out here? Her hearts get to racing, but she says, listen, I got to walk to this furnace. Listen, I got to set these women free. Listen, it's the right thing to do, and I'm expecting my God to show up on the other side of that furnace.
Hallelujah. Yes. Yes.
That fear is real, but it got to be done. We'll be free. I believe that. But as the song in the text says, we got to do the work. Just because you got to look at evil don't mean you got to bow to evil.
Amen. All right. Amen.
Do not allow your privilege and your position to make you comfortable enough to go along with evil. Be willing to speak up and challenge evil. Not because you're expecting something out of it. Not because you want to sit on some board. Not because you want your name in the newspaper. But simply it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And know that God will meet you on the other side.
Yes.
Give God some praise.